My name is Aniston. Welcome if it's your first time here, or welcome back if you've been here before. Either way, I'm so excited to have you here. So, tonight is another one of my late nights, and late night for me is 11 p.m., okay? You guys may be thinking, oh, well, I don't go to sleep until 11 p.m. is late for me and I'm sleepy, okay? But I had to listen and be obedient to the Lord, which leads into what we were talking about tonight. Tonight, I'm talking about obedience. Obedience has been a huge thing in my life recently. There have been so many things that have been going on, and I have fully had to surrender my plan and let God work. So, I want to share a little bit of a story about the time where I was really, really obedient to God. At first, I was extremely disobedient. I could hear him, and I could hear that he was calling me, but I wasn't listening. Well, what do you mean by that? This is a little bit of my testimony. I haven't shared the full thing yet, and I know I will in the future, but I grew up in a Christian household. But as I grew older, that didn't necessarily mean that I followed the Lord's plan for me, that I really listened to him. I was disobedient. And it wasn't until I had an encounter with the Lord alone in my bedroom, he reached me through music. And although I realized, I don't have to do this by myself, I don't have to go through this on my own, I was still disobedient. And I was still really, really struggling. And it wasn't until a few months later, whenever I had a church event, that the Lord was calling me again. And I felt that pull to go to the altar. And in that moment, I was like, God, I want you to help me feel you. Best decision I have ever made in my life. Because when I decided to be obedient, all of these worries, all of this anxiety that I had, completely thrown out the door. And I know it's different for everybody, but for me, surrendering my life to the Lord and fully trusting his plan and having confidence in him was the greatest thing I could have ever done. Because I am a very impatient person. I'm one of those people where I need to know what's going to happen now. I need to know what I'm going to do. I need to know what the other person's going to do. I want all the answers. And I know that there are other people in my life who want to have control over their lives. Well, as Christians, we are called to be obedient to the Lord and to trust in his plan. So sometimes being obedient is hard. It's really hard to move yourself out of the way and to trust in him. But I wanted to read the scripture to you guys, and this is Deuteronomy 28, verses 1 and 2. And if you faithfully obey the voice of the Lord your God, being careful to do all his commandments that I command you today, the Lord your God will set you high above the nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you if you obey the voice of the Lord your God. And I've said this in other videos before. The Lord has amazing, amazing plans for you, but until you are obedient to him and until you listen to him and you answer the call, he cannot reward you with these things. And that's not to say that your life isn't going to be hard. You're always going to struggle. There's always going to be things that you go through. But when you trust the Lord and you have confidence in him, it's so much easier to go about your days. Because for me, going from someone who worried and who wanted to have the answers right then and there to becoming somebody who's like, okay, everything will happen the way that the Lord intends it to. That was a really big thing for me. And I find so much peace in knowing that God has me. I don't want my life to be in my control. I want my life to be in His control because I know He has wonderful, wonderful things in store for me. But for me to receive those wonderful things, I have to follow Him and obey Him and be obedient. That meant the same thing. I told you it's late. But guys, I wanted to share that with you because, like I mentioned, obedience has been a very, very big thing in my life recently, and I've had to make decisions and trust the Lord because I don't want it to be me. I want it to be a part of His plan. And I'm at peace. Although there's so much chaos going around, I have faith that the Lord is going to guide me to where I need to be. So be obedient. Answer the call, listen to Him. Be obedient to His will. Let Him work. Move yourself out the way. Like I said, I know it's hard. I've been there. I'm still there sometimes. But His plans are so much greater than yours. And He loves you so, so, so much. And He wants to see you do amazing, amazing things. But for you to be able to do those things, you have to be obedient. So, I love you all. The Lord loves you all. I'll be praying for you and I'll be praying for myself so that we can all be a little bit more obedient to Him. I will see you guys so, so, so soon.